Hey everyone, welcome back to Pajama Crafts where I do crafts in my pajamas. I want to start right out by saying thank you so much to Hiipoo for sponsoring today's video. Hiipoo sent me some waterslide decal paper to demonstrate to you guys how to use the product, and I'm super excited to show you what I made with it. So it comes with 20 sheets of the waterslide decal paper, and all you have to do is print out your design onto the paper on the shiny side. And then they also sent me this matte finish spray. And what you're going to do is spray your paper. I didn't show this part because I didn't want to get any spray on my camera. And I also took it outside so it'd be well ventilated. But I just sprayed it 3 times with about 10 minutes in between each time to make sure that it was completely sealed. I did use my hair dryer too just to make sure that it was completely dry. Then I took my jar that I was going to add my decal onto and just clean that with a little bit of nail polish remover. And you just put the decal into the water for about 30 seconds and it starts to slide right off. Then you want to wet your surface that you're going to add your decal to so that you can move it around and make sure that you get it exactly where you want it on your project. Now today's video is a Christmas in July themed video, so I wanted to make some Christmas ideas with these decals, and this one was the first project that I tried and I was so disappointed because not in the product at all. I actually really enjoyed using this. It was my first time ever trying these. It was actually really fun. Um, but I was just so disappointed because when I finished the project, before I even got to stage it or take a picture of it to show you guys how it turned out, I broke the jar. So that was super disappointing, but then I just had the opportunity to make a new one so you guys can see 2 demonstrations on this video. Um, but all I did was print something out. You can make your own design like on Canva or something free, or you can find a free printable on Google. You could use your Cricut. For this first one, I used my Cricut, and I don't think I printed it exactly correctly because it was a little bit hard to read printing from my Cricut. For the second one, I ended up using just a free printable from Google and I put it into my Paint app on my computer and just resized that so that it would be small enough for my project, and that printed out much nicer. You do need to have an inkjet printer for these projects to print onto the paper. But other than that, that's all you need. And this was a super fun and easy activity to do. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think you guys will too. And Hippo actually is very generous and gave me a discount code for you guys. When you sign up, 100 people can get 50% off the water slide decal paper. And then 50 people can get 50% off their heat transfer paper. So once you have your decal exactly where you want it on your project, you just want to take a paper towel and carefully just push any bubbles of water underneath the decal out to the outside. And it's really easy to do. I was a little worried when I was watching the video demonstration of this because I thought it might tear because it looked so fragile, but it's actually not. It's pretty hardy and I didn't really have to worry about it tearing at all. Once I got all of the water out from underneath, I just made sure that I liked the placement and then I just set it aside to dry. So I will have the link below for you guys to get that 50% off. I know you're going to really enjoy doing this. It was super fun for me and I absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's so cute. This would be perfect for a tiered tray or just sitting kind of how I have it staged here. But you'll have to let me know down in the comments if you guys have ever tried the water slide decals and how you like them, or if you're going to try it. So for my first DIY, I want to let you guys know to begin with that this is a compilation of DIYs that I've done in the past for Christmas. I just wanted to make a big compilation for you guys to watch if you enjoy Christmas in July. And the first DIY in this video is actually the first DIY that I ever did on my channel. I just thought it would be fun to include this one. So this is actually a Jenga block, as you can see, and I just painted it with the Ivory Waverly chalk paint and sanded a little bit on the edges. And then I just took a Posca paint pen and drew on a little snowman and used a little bit of fabric that I had to make him a little scarf. And I think he just turned out so cute. You can add a little hanger on the back to make him a little ornament for your tree, or you could put him on a little tiered tray, whatever you want to do. I think he is just the cutest. So simple and easy, but so adorable. I made these for a craft fair a while back, and they were my top sellers for sure. I apologize if my voice sounds a little off today. I am battling a little bit of a cold, so bear with me. But I also want to let you guys know just here at the beginning of the video, in case you don't make it all the way to the end, that I am going to be taking a break from YouTube. This might be my last video for a while as I am kind of going a new direction with my life at the moment, and I'm going to be starting school next month. So I appreciate any prayers or good vibes you can send my way, but I'm just not going to be able to keep up with everything and being a mom, including this YouTube channel. So, this is going to be set on the back burner for a while. But I do want to say thank you to all of my subscribers who have been with me along the way. I really appreciate you guys, and I apologize that you're not going to see me around for a while. But don't forget, I do have my Facebook group where you can share all of your beautiful creations. As I always say, I love to see what you guys are working on. So that will be linked down in the description if you want to go and join me over there. And I will also still be active on Instagram. I won't be posting as many crafts or anything. It'll probably be more personal life. But if you guys want to stay connected with me, those are the two main places that you can. And of course, I will still have my email, or you can send me messages if you want to. With that being said, let's just hop right into this next DIY. As you can see, I am working on a little sled. I got this from Dollar Tree, and I just removed all of the pieces and sanded it down really nicely so that I would have a smooth surface to paint on. And then I just painted the whole thing with some white Waverly chalk paint, and then I did the little sled pieces black. And then I actually used that piece to make some shiplap type lines for my sled, and I just used a Sharpie for that. And then I added a little bit more paint with a tiny brush with some Waverly ink colored paint because I just didn't want my lines to be so perfect on here. I wanted it to look a little bit more rustic, and then I sanded them down so that it wouldn't be so harsh and they'd look a little more realistic. Then I went ahead and distressed the whole entire sled. Once I had everything distressed to my liking, I reattached it all with some hot glue. Next, I just wrote some words down in Word on my computer and printed those out. I wanted it to say let it snow, and this is before I had a Cricut. So if you guys don't have Cricut, this is a super easy way to transfer fonts onto your projects if you don't want to do hand lettering or something like that. So you could always use a regular stencil, but if you want to, you can print out specific fonts from your computer. And then as you saw, I just colored on the back with a pencil, and then I taped it down where I wanted it so it won't go anywhere. And then I just used a pen to trace around it. You want to push down pretty hard so that your pencil lead on the back transfers onto your project, and then you can trace over it with a Sharpie or a paint pen or whatever you have. If you're good at just painting with a little brush, that's always hard for me to get everything perfect when I'm using a brush to paint on letters, but you could do that as well. So once my words were all finished, I had these really affordable picks from Walmart. I think they were just like 97 cents, but they're so pretty and full, and I just loved how they looked. So I just bent them and rearranged some stuff so that they would fit together easily. Then I have this Dollar Tree bell ornament, and I just hot glued that right to the middle. And this is still one of my favorite projects for Christmas. So sticking with that black and white theme, I decided to make some little wall decor pieces from the Dollar Tree square box type things. I don't know what you would call them. I just call them like box canvases. But I actually freehanded these words calm and bright, and it took me a lot of practice, but I actually like how the font came out a lot. So there's tons of tutorials on YouTube for hand lettering. You can practice on Skillshare as well. But I just looked up a font that I liked on Google and then I tried to copy it until I got the look that I wanted. And then I did the same transfer method for these to transfer onto my project. There's no way I would try to do it right onto the project because as you can see, I messed up a lot of times before I got it the way that I wanted it. So for the canvas pieces, I just painted them white, and I think I didn't show that because I had these from a previous project and I just painted over top of it. But then I just transferred that word right onto the top of the sign, and I added some more of that greenery from Walmart and distressed it a little bit. I also had the buffalo check ribbon from Walmart, and I think these just turned out so pretty. I love how they look together on the wall, and just really liking that black and white. For this next project, I'm using another Dollar Tree sign, and I just went ahead and painted the whole thing with some white Waverly chalk paint. After that's dry, I'm using some stencils that I have from Michaels, and this actually comes with two sets of stencils so that you can make the shadow on the letters. I cut them all up so that it would be easier for me to line them up and get them right, but basically you do the first set first and then you take the second set and that makes the rest of your letter and the shadow and everything. So hopefully you can see what the heck I'm doing right here. So when I take it off, it's only part of the letter. So then you're going to use the second set, and it all comes together. I was not able to find these stencils online to link them for you guys, but I know someone said that they did find them in store, so I'm not sure if they're online or just in store, but hopefully you guys can still find them. But as you can see, next you just put the next stencil on top of the letters to make the rest of the letter and the shading, and I really love how it comes out. It looks really cool and rustic. It's more like a Western font. I did go ahead and use my Posca paint pen with this, but I will warn you guys that if you use your Posca paint pens in a stencil just like that, that they can bleed a little bit because it is paint. So if you don't want that to happen, I would use a pencil first and then go in and go over it with your paint pen afterwards because rubbing up next to the stencil does cause a little bit of bleeding sometimes. So this was my first time using them, so I didn't really think about that. But it's okay because once I distress it, it's not that noticeable. But just so you guys know, that is one tip that I have for using stencils. So then that same set of stencils came with some different designs and things in there. So I just used one of the designs that they had on there and added that to my sign as well. I also love adding a border on these signs because I think it just takes it up a notch and makes it kind of like a general store type sign that you would see. And I just really like the look of it. Once I was finished with the designs, I went ahead and took this outside and used my electric sander on it. It works perfectly if you are painting on the back of the Dollar Tree signs because they are that wood color, but otherwise you could just use some paint to distress it on the top of it. For my next project, I have this piece of wood from Walmart, and I had done a previous project on it that I didn't really like anymore, and so I decided to just paint over it with some white Waverly chalk paint. I gave it a couple coats to cover up that real dark color underneath. And then I did the same method for my letters that I did in the first few projects. I just printed out a font that I liked on the computer and then transferred it onto my project with the pencil and pen. Then I just traced it onto my sign with a Sharpie and decided to make a great big bow for this sign. I am no professional at making bows, but I had this really pretty buffalo check ribbon from Walmart and I wanted to make a great big bow. So I just started looping it all around. I'm not going to try to even explain what I did. You guys can watch what I did, but there's much better bow tutorials out there that you can find. So I will just let you watch those if you're trying to learn how to make a bow. I will leave in here what I did so you guys can watch the struggle, but go watch somebody else make a bow if you want to learn how to do it correctly. So before I added my bow with some hot glue, I did go ahead and take this sign outside and distress it with my electric sander, and I really liked how that dark color showed through that was underneath there from before. So that's another tip if you want your wood to look a little bit older and more distressed, you can paint it black underneath first, and that way when you sand it, that darker color will show through and it'll look a little more aged. Moving on to the next project, I had this little scrap piece of wood and I painted it white, and then using that same method, I went ahead and wrote, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." For my next project, I have this Christmas banner, and I actually got these letters from Target Dollar Spot for just $1 each. And then I had a pennant banner from burlapfabric.com. And then I just drew these little Christmas trees onto my banner with a fabric marker from Arteza. And all I did was tie everything together and write joy in between the pennants. And I think it's really cute, very simple, but very rustic and pretty for Christmas. Next, I have this little Dollar Tree frame type thing. It's not a regular picture frame. You actually have to pop that little plastic piece out. But I just had some scrap chicken wire on hand and I stapled it to the back with my stapler. Next, I used this Dollar Tree ornament that says peace and just hot glued that right on there. Then I just added a few Christmas picks from Dollar Tree and another one of those Dollar Tree bell ornaments, which I think are really, really pretty and rustic. And that's all I did for this one. I think it's really pretty and unique. You could use it as a wreath on your door or just sitting on a shelf, hang it on the wall. So many possibilities for this one. I just love it. For the next DIY, I had this scrap piece of wood that I had started to make a project on and was not turning out at all the way way that I was hoping for, so I just decided to scrap that and use it for something else. So I just took this Spanish moss color of paint from Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint, and I just covered the whole entire thing. After that was dry, I took this felt Christmas tree cut out from Dollar Tree and I just cut off the star on the top because it was a little too long for my project. I used some double-sided tape to stick this down to my project while I was working. Next, I just used this brush that I got from Amazon that's made for chalk paint, and I started kind of stippling it all over my project, which just means that I bounce the brush up and down instead of doing strokes, and that way it works a lot better when you're working with something like this or a stencil, because it won't bleed underneath. So just make sure you only have a little bit of paint on your brush, and then you can stipple, bounce your brush up and down, and it'll work out a lot nicer. I did add a little twine bow to the top of my project, and that's all I did for this one. It was super simple, but I think it's so cute. Next, I made this little snowman with a piece of wood that my dad gave me. He has a lot of these on hand that he just takes home from his job. They're scrap wood that they don't use, and so he brings them home and he saves a bunch for me, and I can get as many as I want whenever I want, which is totally awesome. But obviously, not everyone's going to be able to do that, so just use whatever you have on hand. You can also find discounted wood at Home Depot or Lowe's. So that would be another good place to check. So after I had him completely painted, I just drew a face on him and added a little scarf and a hat from a Dollar Tree ornament, and I think he's so, so cute. My parents actually wanted him, so he sits outside their house every winter, and he was at Bree's Frozen birthday party the other day. She really wanted him to go because she thought he looked like Olaf, which I thought was so cute. So anyway, I really like this one, and I hope you guys like it too. For the next DIY, I have these two previous projects that I was not in love with anymore, and I just decided to use them to make something new. So I went ahead and flipped these suckers over and just glued everything together with some wood glue and some scraps of wood. What I usually use for the back of my signs is just some paint stirring sticks. They work really well to hold signs together just with some wood glue. You can also add staples or little brad nails so that you can work with it right away, but that's definitely not necessary. If you don't have a stapler, you can just go ahead and use wood glue and let it sit overnight, and it will dry really hard and you don't have to worry about it falling apart. So the color I'm using is Lacquer from Waverly Chalk Paint, and I just made sure to cover the whole entire sign with a few coats so that none of those other colors would be showing through. Next, I used some stencils from Walmart and a Posca paint pen, and just wrote on there Christmas wishes. I wanted to add on a little basket and make it so the kids could make Christmas lists for Santa, or just, it's really cute even if you don't have kids. Um, or maybe you have grandkids that want to put their Christmas list in there. Either way, I just rolled up some paper to make it look like some little Christmas list, and I think it's so adorable. And then I had those bells at the top. I found those at Michael's after Christmas. They were on a major discount since it was after Christmas, so I grabbed those and just used them the next year, and I just put a nail on the back of the sign and hooked the rope on it. I got the little basket from Hobby Lobby, and I really like how this one turned out. For my next DIY, this is probably one of my favorite Christmas DIYs ever. I actually had these little canvases. These were from Walmart like many, many, many years ago. I had some failed DIYs on here. I tried to make Bree's footprints into a butterfly when she was a tiny baby, and that did not work. Um, but anyway, I just cut off all the canvases and wanted to use the wood that was on the inside. Then I had this little dangly spring sign from Dollar Tree, and I just pulled it all apart so that I could use those pieces. And I made sure to sand them down the best I could so that there was no glue left on them. And then I painted them with that lacquer color chalk paint. Next, I just used some hot glue to attach the back of my frames. Then I glued down my J and my Y and added a bell from Dollar Tree for the O, and I think this turned out so, so cute. Well, that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to go check out Hiipoo down in the description. Don't forget, this is my last video before going to school, so if you guys want to stay connected, make sure that you hop on over to my Facebook or Instagram. And like I said, I also have my email down in the description. So if you guys want to chat, I will see you over there. Thank you so much to everyone for all of your support on my channel. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the year. Bye.
It's making a big mountain now, isn't it? Yeah. No, it is.
You're gonna pop them on your feet?
Careful you don't slip.
Oh my goodness.